The Netherlands did not qualify for the Euro 2016 tournament, the first time that they haven't qualified for a major tournament since 2002 when they missed out. And it has posed a bunch of questions about what is next for this once great team and whether or not they can become great again. And they're not the only ones, trust me. They have been swiftly alongside many other teams that haven't made it, bigger teams that were expected to make it, and other major teams that did make it are still a lot of question marks about whether or not they are great again, like Spain, for instance. But, Jason, Holland, name one player that comes to your mind when I say Holland.
Normally, I think of the flopping Arjen Robben.
Right.
But, it's interesting because I shouldn't use this as an example, but I'm going to. I play a lot of FIFA.
You do.
So the roster is actually pretty fresh in my head because that's a team that when you play, you see regularly has a lot of talented players, not just from the video game perspective. I'm not trying to make that relation, but Daley Blind is a starter for Manchester United. Memphis Depay, who looked like he dazzled in 2 games this season, matches this season, a little bit. But Wesley Sneijder, I think Klaas-Jan Hunteelaar is a really good striker. I know that's not the greatest analysis ever, but when you look at the team on paper, they don't translate, which is a flaw that happens in a lot of sports.
Yeah, so the thing about Holland is I feared this coming. So they were basically a penalty shootout away from making a back-to-back World Cup final, which when you're on paper, you're like, all right, this team, there's no problem there. If you're making back-to-back World Cup finals, although you didn't win it, I mean, Arjen Robben, if he did finish that chance against Spain in the previous World Cup, they could have well won that. They had plenty of chances in that final against Spain to win it. Yeah. Now, when you look at the team from that World Cup and you look at the team that's trying to qualify for the Euros, there's a lot of same personnel in there. That, for me, is the issue.
They weren't that young in 2010.
Exactly. So they've been on that fence. I've said this a lot. I said that I predicted this with Spain before the World Cup, is that if teams start to suss out the Asian teams, now Spain were not like all completely Asian, but I would say their style of play was aging amongst that national game. Like teams started to figure it out. And with Holland, I've always thought that they were kind of toying between that line, whether they were going to be great and go on and win a World Cup, or whether they were just going to miss that bus. Literally, they missed the bus this time, and just flatter to deceive and then become a struggling nation who don't have the star quality that was once there. So you look at the players that stood out for them. Arjen Robben in his prime, when he's fit, is one of the best players in the world. Van Persie.
But he's never
fit, exactly. Van Persie is no longer in his prime. When he was, even in the World Cup, they had glimpses of it, that fantastic header. But then they always really had a problem with partnering him up top. Van Nistelrooy in his prime was good. They had Edgar Davids, they had Kluivert, they had all these star players. But now when you see this transition, the older generation doesn't seem to cut it anymore. Van der Vaart has never been the same. I think the best years we've seen him at Tottenham. Sneijder in Galatasaray, he's not playing against the best talent every single week. Don't think he can carry that team anymore. And the next wave of talent, as much as they will get better, they don't have enough to take them to that next level. Now, they do have enough talent to make the Euros. That's no excuse. But they don't have the talent, I don't think, at the moment, into which I'm thoroughly shocked that they wouldn't make it. Because if this is 5 years ago when they've got Robben playing and they've got all these players playing week in, week out, I'm like, what? I don't understand it. But I can't say that I didn't see this coming.
Only 2 people I hate in this world, Francis. People intolerant of other people's cultures. And the Dutch.
Great quote. No. How many times do you think we've referenced Austin Powers in sports?
Well, the other quote that fits in this equation was you're saying, like, they almost one penalty shootout away from going to back-to-back World Cups, right? So it's like Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you're last.
And
that I actually want to touch on that point for a second because it's amazing how second place in a World Cup is just so easily forgotten. And, like, whoever finished third and fourth, so easily forgotten, mostly because there's such a huge gap, 4 years between each tournament. So, I guess if you saw the signs, and I haven't been following world football enough to even go back to have signs to look from in the beginning, but in your case, if you've been following the signs for it and the team is the same every year for 4 to 5 to 6 years, almost 6 years now, you're just getting older. You're just getting, and look, veteran presence is always good on any team, doesn't matter who, where, what, when, or why. It's good, but not a team full of veterans.
Yeah.
Not going to do too much for you.
And it plays along with like what happened to Brazil as well when they got found out against star talent. Like now they're trying to transition. They're bringing on the younger players. They're trying to move
in
through that.
the World Cup.
2014
they lose Neymar. They lost
Lamar, and
they lost everything.
Exactly. So they relied a little bit more on star talent. But now when you've seen them, even though they were still pretty dire at times in the Copa America, they brought in some new talent. They were trying to brush up that team and try to rejuvenate it with some youth, but also partnered with experience. Now Holland, I don't know. Like when you look at the starting roster, I don't know why I was going to say it. I don't like to use the word roster, but I guess it's in my mind because you used it. There's still Nigel De Jong in there who was in his prime 4 or 5 years ago. There's still Van Persie being used. Daley Blind, yes, is a good player for Manchester United. He's not going to change the future of Holland, but the star quality for me that stands out no matter what team you put into it. So if Italy are coming through now, they went through a transition period. They still had that star quality that stood out to me. In this qualification period with Holland, I just didn't see that star quality enough. And when you've got Arjen Robben, who undoubtedly is one of the best in the world, rarely fit at the moment, it poses a question, well, who's the backup plan? Who have we got? Who's coming through the system with Holland? And they have a fantastic youth system. Ajax have provided some of the best players. Ajax were responsible for Kluivert. They were responsible for Edgar Davids. They were responsible for some of the best players we've ever seen. And I think it's going to pose a question now is that maybe they're not bringing up enough youth into the national team. Maybe there's a need for a new coach because Louis van Gaal was their coach for the World Cup. And as you know, Louis van Gaal, he coached a good team in Holland. But now we don't qualify because I leave.
It's getting better. You know, maybe I play center back for touch team.
I think they could use him.
They're almost his age.
Yeah, maybe so. So let us know what you guys think below. The only question is, what the fuck has happened to Holland? Like, that is the question. Answer it in the comment section below and put in hashtag what the fuck has happened to Holland.